the best way I can introduce myself is to tell you what my passion is and who my heroes are. My passion is knowledge, and my heroes are the polymaths of the Renaissance, those people who could handle so many different knowledge. And it so happens then that I teach. To me, disruption is very easily defined as this kind of idea that's revolutionary enough to go through these 3 steps. The first step being considered ridiculous. The second step is that a revolutionary idea will necessarily be considered dangerous. And the third step is that a revolutionary idea ends up being considered self-evident. And any disruptive idea throughout history, the entire history of mankind, has gone through those 3 steps. First, considered ridiculous, then dangerous, then self-evident. Concordantly, leaders are those who master this particular art of making ridiculous ideas adopted by the masses and indeed making them go from ridiculous to self-evident as fast as possible. You see, leaders are those who can indeed take those ridiculous ideas and make people adopt them by making them unthreatening, among other things. And Martin Luther King Jr. and Gandhi had this ability, definitely. They could take something that everybody was considering at best impossible and at worst ridiculous, and they could make it self-evident in a matter of a decade. And in business, I would take the example of Steve Jobs, who indeed took an idea, the personal computer, that most people considered plain ridiculous at the end of the 70s, and he made it acceptable to the masses, while most computer scientists actually considered it ridiculous at the time. This is leadership. Something I won't talk about tomorrow is a particular idea that today is considered ridiculous and that I believe fondly will be considered self-evident in the matter of a generation, in the time of a generation. Because any epoch in history has such ideas. Any period of our history has had some ideas that people considered ridiculous and that ended up being self-evident. And this idea is that of a world in which there would be no waste. The idea of a world in which the next time you want to see waste, you actually have to go to the museum. And it so happens that nature actually fits this property, but our economy doesn't. And there's one great leader who actually does foster the adoption of this idea. And this great leader is Professor Gunther Pauli.